Welcome to this video on fitness testing, which is the next step in the flipped learning series relating to fitness and training for GCSE Physical Education. In today's world of elite sport, where margins between winning and losing are so slim, coaches need to make sure that their players are fit enough to perform. Any slight dips in fitness in between competition, tournaments or matches could have a drastic knock-on effect and hinder the performance of that athlete or the team. Therefore, players are tested regularly throughout the season and throughout the off-season to make sure they're at peak fitness, ready to perform. Testing is a science, and therefore we must learn from our protocols in science testing and relate that knowledge into our physical education. So when we're testing people, we need to make sure that our tests are fair, reliable and valid. And we need to ensure we get all of these right for our tests to mean something and be accurate. Okay, the first one is being fair. If we want our tests to be fair to everyone, then we need to make sure that we use the same equipment, we use the same distances and the same times. What we can't have is two different people competing in the same test, one person doing 100 metres and one person doing 102 metres. Likewise, if you're doing it in football and we're doing some shooting, ensure that we're using the same size ball, the same size goals. Some of these things are overlooked sometimes when we do tests on different days. We need to make sure that it's very fair, we're using the same equipment, the same distances, the same times, the same surfaces, all those things to make sure it is a level playing field for all the people that are taking part in the test. Reliability is the extent to which the results from the same assessment or same test can be repeated over a period of time in different situations. If we continue to repeat the test, yet we get very, very different results from that student or that athlete, then that test lacks reliability. Yes, the results are going to be slightly different, but we shouldn't see massive differences from the test. Validity is probably the single most important area when we're testing. We need to make sure that our test is valid, otherwise we're not going to get anything at all out of the testing process. In short, validity means, are we testing what we think we're testing? Is it a valid test? And this links back to specificity, being specific about our testing and our training. If I want to test speed, then I need to use a test that specifically tests speed. It doesn't start to test stamina. And one other thing to think about as well is, are you testing what you think you're testing? And you need to really look at the test and make sure that it's valid for the purposes of what you want to get out of it. For testing to be effective, it must produce some meaningful data that can be analysed against norms and standards. Norms and standards usually are samples of people in the same age bracket or the same weight or the same height that have been collected previously and put together in averages so that you can actually see where you fall against the norm of your age group or your weight or your height. This then gives your the data from your test some meaning, because you can then reference it and compare and contrast against what the norm is across the country. Lastly, we need to look at what other factors might actually affect performance. Even though we follow our protocols to try and make sure our testing is fair, reliable and valid, other external factors still might have a significant effect on the performance. Things like injury, fatigue, weather, time of day, if someone's just eaten, all those sorts of things can have a negative or a positive effect on performance. And it's important that as testers and sports scientists we understand these, and when we look at our testing we try to make sure that there is little as possible factors that will negatively or positively affect the test, because we want to make sure that it is fair, reliable and valid at all times.